Hello ladies and gents, it's Hagbard Celine here on another beautiful afternoon, and today we will be looking at a publication known as The Root. Apparently it's related to Gizmodo and Jezebel and Kotaku, so again, we're into the prime literature of our times here. This article is entitled, Five Good Things About to Happen to Blackness in the Era of Trump. Yeah, that's the real title. What amazes me about modern journalism or publications or whatever it is you want to call these platforms upon which information is extolled, they always seem to use whiteness as a non-existent thing or some form of an oppressor and pejorative, and blackness as some sort of liberation movement or some sort of empowerment issue. It's kind of interesting, and I'd like you to note through this entire article the fact that if any of this were reversed, it would be considered one of the most racist, or at least racially obsessed or racially charged articles in history. Whereas here it's just the norm. It's just what we do, and that's okay. We have publications like The Root and Atlanta Black Star and all kinds of these other trash publications that get cited in CNN and shit, but they're for some reason not socially seen as the same as the Daily Stormer or one of these other publications. A segment of the American populace decided to elect a racist, xenophobic misogynist named Donald Trump to the presidency. Of course, we have to do the mantra of liberalism now and list all of the things that you're accusing him of. Later, I believe he does also accuse him of being complicit in sexual assault or rape apologetics or some such nonsense. As a result, we, as black folks, are going to have to mount up and fight his white supremacist policies for the next 4 years and beyond. That's right. You mount up on that hoss and get 'em, Negro cowboys. We're all waiting for it. But that being said, I've been thinking about some of the unintentional good things that will come out of Trump's First Reich. Okay, so we've got a Trump as Hitler already. Excellent. Not even a particularly witty way to get to it, but alright. Like executions, oppression against the black community tends to focus the mind. So I think we'll see African Americans begin to do a lot of things we let slip during our love and hip-hop and bread and circuses era. Yeah, I don't think that in the last even 2 or 3 years, during, Barack Obama's exalted presidency, that you've let a whole lot slide. Well, except for intraculturally with the whole teaching your kids to twerk shit. The era of black ratchetness is over. Nay, friend. Only WorldStar and Andy Cohen don't know it yet. No, I would say large populations within your own community don't appear to know that the revolution is upon them. Below are 5 good things we'll see happen from Cheeto Hitler's presidency. He said the Cheeto Hitler, but the Cheetos Hitler, it's just so clunky. I can hardly even get it out. Number 1, the head nod. Now, he pretends in this like the head nod isn't some sort of larger cultural thing that many people do to each other, specifically most males do to each other, in an acknowledgement of the other's existence and lack of interest in combat. However, we're going to go ahead and do his read here. I never really liked how the show Blackish took a silent cultural cue. Yes, it was a cipher. It's a code that no one has ever talked about before and no one has ever bore witness to frequently enough to understand, but go on.
You're sitting on a park bench enjoying a nice Sunday afternoon lunch. You turn to your right. You see a large black man walking along the sidewalk in front of you. As he continues walking by, you turn to your left, and you notice another black man walking in his direction. As strange as it is for you to see one, let alone 2 black people in your town or this part of it, you're even further perplexed when you notice the 2 men silently acknowledge each other and continue walking on their separate paths. What is this interaction that you just witnessed? The Negro Nod. I'm Ryan Matama, and this is Black Phenomena Explained.
Among black people and turned it into a mainstream pop culture. I didn't know black people did that. Piece of trivia for white America. Again, it wasn't a good code, and the fact that you present it this way tells me that you're probably a bit of a pea-brain. But in a new age where black folks are going to need a collective sense of awareness, as Trump and his head henchman, aka Chief Strategist Steve Bannon, attempts to erase us as a people, that head nod of acknowledgement is going to become ever more important. Yes, that is going to be how you guys ferment the revolution. Not that you guys have been telling jokes about that since the 1970s, but okay. Number 2, the return of brother and sister. There was a time when greeting each other as brother or sister was as normal as saying hello or good morning to complete strangers. And yet the hostility and distrust that this world has bred has made us less of an occurrence. Yes, it's entirely the distrust and things, and it's just because it's awkward and weird. It conveys a false sense of unity, and then it gets used, by the way, within your community by skeezballs to ingratiate themselves to other people. And you see, I recall throughout history having seen my own stepbrothers and such be approached with, yo, what's up, my brother? I'm not your brother. I don't fucking know you. Don't act like I owe you anything just because of your damn skin tone. But of course, you need that ideal level of unity, don't you? Snoop even popularized saying cousin, which I could never get with, mainly because it harks back to how Crips greet each other as cuz. And I don't want to have anything to do with being associated with Crips or Bloods, but brother and sister is who we are. No, it's not. It's what you're attempting to impose upon your community. The only other groups I've seen do that were groups like the Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites or the Moorish societies that they all insist on calling all their members brother and sister, as do many other cults. That being said, keep that in mind. At the end of this, I'll be playing a clip from a band he mentions, and you'll note that if you go look at some of their other work as well as the one I play, you'll hear that they have some of that we was. They have some of that during the time of Moorish conquest, and we built ancient pyramids, all that kind of good stuff. People who don't buy into the notion that we have to be paranoid about each other, but who love each other unconditionally. Unless you're Omarosa, she gets no love. I assume I looked this up myself because she works for Fox. I don't know. I know that you guys excommunicate blackness all the time, so it was Kanye 2 weeks ago, it'll be someone else 2 weeks from now, because you guys are insane people. Number 3, house parties. Yes, I shit you not, his third thing that he's looking forward to is, yo, we gonna have some house parties, my dude. Yeah. As a world of oppression closes in, black folks tend to close ranks, finding comfort in the faces of people who look just like them. Let's just pause and acknowledge that this is him admitting that he's a bigot and deeply racist. It's about creating private spaces where the jokes we have... It's about creating private spaces where the jokes all have punchlines that don't have to be explained to people who say, I don't get it, or people who get offended because the joke was at their expense. Oh, but when white people do that, it's racist, and you'd say it was akin to a Klan rally, right? But when you do it, it's just a house party. It's fine. Look for Friday night spades parties. Jesus. Or Saturday night bid whist parties. Good God, man, you couldn't be more fucking stereotypical. Look for spontaneous chicken fries and watermelon slicings. Like, that's what you may as well have written here. Look for spontaneous gatherings where nothing's on the agenda except good food, good laughter, and goodwill, and you will go. So the response to oppression from the black community is apparently to hang out, drink 40s, and party. Cool. I guess Tariq wasn't all wrong when he said that that was the natural state. Number 4, great literature. I fully expect to read some great literature during these 4 years. As a writer, in big quotes I'd say, I have found that when the pressures of society directly affect you, each story and each word in the stories you write becomes much more important than in the good times. Look for personal stories, biographies, poetry, and nonfiction that will illuminate and take you forward in a positive psychological and intellectual way. Well, that was just in there for masturbation points. You didn't actually make any point or cite any idea of why you would say that is the case or why you think there's going to be any more good literature. But then again, you probably think, Talara Cotes or whatever the fuck his name is writes good books. Number 5, love of black people. Imagine a white person wrote that he just wanted to embrace a love of his own people. And that would be a big problem. I love black people in the way that the last poets talked about how they loved black people in their revolutionary poem, Niggers Are Scared of Revolution. I love our faults. I love our idiosyncrasies. And I love how we have fought in this country since 1916 to be seen as human, as rightful citizens of this experiment called the United States. Love each other over the next 4 years, and then fight like hell to defeat anyone who would attempt to harm you. I have a good feeling about the love we'll see among one another. Again, this is the band that I was citing earlier, the Last Poets. I sincerely advise you go listen to what can, and I'm not attempting to be offensive, only be described as, well, jungle music. They just kind of beat on drums and say words to an occasional rhythm over it. But the lyrics, if you can get through it, are really quite enlightening for this man to be citing. And it is quite literally saying that black people need a revolution, and quoting a lot of the We Was King stuff, sprinkled with a little bit of the whole I don't like gay people stuff, and women should stay in their place stuff. They very much sound like Hebrew Israelites. It's quite entertaining to see him cite it. That being said, this is a one Lawrence Ross, who is apparently the author of the LA Times bestseller, The Divine Nine, The History of African American Fraternities and Sororities. His newest book, which this is by no means an advertisement for, is called Blackballed, The Black and White Politics of Race on America's Campuses. It's a blunt and frank look into the historical and contemporary issues of campus racism on predominantly white campuses. So only on predominantly white campuses in which there's no actual systemic racism to keep black people out. I think it's interesting that your focus is on the struggle of black students and not minority students, because you know you might have difficulty finding a broader spectrum of minority students to complain about the same levels of injustices that you purport to experience. That being said, would it be okay if I did some investigations into some of these predominantly black colleges historically to see if there are any racial injustices occurring there? I think that could make for some interesting and even novel research. No, that's not even remotely important. Now, although the links down at this were broken, I did go ahead and track down this gentleman's Twitter account, and let me tell you, it makes for quite an amusing sight. Upon doing that, I discovered a gentleman that was just beside himself with frustration and childish rage when it came to this election, to the point where, of course, he's done nothing for the last day but tweet into the void about the swearing-in ceremonies that occurred today and the upcoming inauguration of President Trump, as well as the famous things like insulting people that meet with Trump that are of the wrong race. You know, black people that meet with him, yep, they're race traitors, of course. The inevitable reference to Lincoln, and the lavishing of praise onto a president, calling him a genius simply because, I can guess no other reason, he happened to also be black. And again, my real point in this is, imagine this with the shoe on the other foot. You can't, aside from Stormfront or the Daily Stormer. That's where you get these kind of articles. Not beside fucking Kotaku. This is absurd. Truly and fundamentally absurd. But that's it for me, ladies and gents. I hope you got something out of this little article read, at least a perception of, well, the psychology of this group, which I think is becoming more and more apparent as time goes on. And I'd like to thank you for getting through this with me. I'll catch up with you guys next week. Stay safe. Good luck. And goodbye.
The hair from black to red to blonde, and hope like hell their looks will change. Niggas kill other niggas just because one didn't receive the correct change. Niggas change from men to women, from women to men. Niggas change, change, change. You hear niggas say things are changing, things are changing. Yeah, things are changing. Nigga things into black nigga things. Black nigga things that go through all kinds of changes. The change in the day that makes them rattle and rave. Black power, and the change that comes over them at night as they sigh and moan. I die. Ooh, I die. Niggas always going through bullshit change. But when it comes for real change, niggas are scared of revolution. Niggas are actors. Niggas are actors. Niggas act like they're in a hurry to catch the first act of the great white host. Niggas try to act like Malcolm, and when a white man doesn't react toward them like he did Malcolm, niggas want to act violently. Niggas act so cool and slick, causing white people to say, what makes you niggas act like that? Niggas Niggas act like you ain't never seen nobody act before. But when it comes to acting out revolution, niggas say, I can't dig them actions. Niggas are scared of revolution.